magic tutorial. That's right, time to learn some magic. That thing you saw in the intro is called a color change, and it's one of the first things that got me excited about learning card magic. So today we are learning the basic Erdnase Color Change. There are many different versions out there, and I'm teaching this one because A, it's easier to learn, and more importantly, B, the angles are really covered, so you can perform this much more in real life, not just for Instagram. So grab your cards, and let's get started. The basic mechanics are as follows. The top card is pushed forward a bit, exposing the second card. The second card is pulled back until it clears the first card. Then it's pushed forward, and at almost the same time, the original card is slid back into place. Easy, right? But if you do it like that, not too many people will be impressed. Here's what we want it to look like. So how do we make it look like that? How do we make the action smooth? Well, as they say, the devil is in the details. So let's take a closer look
into the heart of the devil.
Let's examine the necessary technique. Hand position. Put the deck in your non-dominant hand. I am right-handed, so it goes into my left hand. By the way, this is called dealer's grip. You want your index finger to be up here at the top. And of course, you should aim the cards directly towards the audience. Technique detail number 2. Now you need to move this card forward. Generally enough so you can see the value and the pip. There are a couple different options for attempting to hide this action. I'll share with you the common ones and then I'll tell you what I actually do. Option 1. Move the card forward using your pinky as you rotate your hand. Something like this. Option 2. Instead of moving this card forward, put your hand on top and move the whole deck back using your index finger. Option number Jason. And here's the way I personally like to do it. My hand is relaxed with the fingers naturally curled. So natural. And during the action of straightening out my fingers, that's when the move happens with my pinky. It happens as my right hand arrives to the deck. Just like this. I haven't actually seen this taught anywhere this way, it's just something I started doing recently. Next, the palm of your hand needs to contact this card and pull it back. The card will naturally be concealed behind your hand. Here's another viewpoint. The card is pushed forward in that action, and immediately the palm of my hand contacts the next card and pulls it back until it's free. Extra tip! In general, if you're having any difficulty when learning a new skill, you should stop and try to identify the variables, the small things you can adjust. Once you've identified them, try changing one by itself and see if it helps. You really should experiment to see what works for you. And anyway, it's a really valuable skill that will help you out in the future quite a lot. For example, in this particular action of sliding this card back, I can define 2 variables. Variable 1, which part of the palm is contacting the card to pull it back? I could contact the card here, or all the way up here. If you contact the card here, the resulting position will be something like this, barely concealed by the pinky. Whereas if you contact the card back here, the resulting position is something I'm more comfortable with. It's deeper into the hand and easier to conceal. Anyway, you should try both options and see which one you prefer. Variable number 2, the angle and how much force you apply when you're pulling this card back to get it free from the other one. I could put a lot of force like this, and it makes a loud snapping sound when it comes free. Or maybe you want to change the variable, and instead of applying such a steep angle, you want to go like this with very little pressure. So if we try that, the card is free. There was almost no click sound at all. Even the sound of the cards sliding against each other will be almost imperceptible if you use less force. And actually, you don't need to worry about this noise if you're outside or in a public place. There will be enough ambient noise to hide it. But Jason, I want to perform in a silent location, and I'm afraid they will hear the noise. Well, okay. In this situation, you can just talk while you're doing the move, and it will be enough to hide the sound. Just say something like, "Now, watch the 10 of spades as it magically changes." Just by speaking, you cover and distract from that little noise. Technique detail number 4. As your right hand slides this bottom card and starts to move it forward into this position, your left finger, hi there, needs to push this card back into place. You can start this action early, but I actually think it looks better if you wait to pull this in till the last second. For example, like this. Just waiting for the right hand to move forward before pulling it in hides that movement. Technique detail number 5. The reveal. Here's where you can allow your creativity to go wild. There are any number of ways you can show the card has changed. Like this. Like this. Some people do this. Or you could even pretend that you palm the card off awkwardly, obviously, a red herring, and then surprise them when there's nothing there. I personally have started to enjoy doing it a little bit more like that, which I think of as a squeezing, crumpling action. Somehow it looks good to me. Alright, we did it! Now you have the concept. And here are a few extra troubleshooting ideas if you're having, well, trouble. Do you find that sometimes your hands are too dry? You try to slide the cards, but your hands pass by uselessly without the card moving at all? Like completely stupid, useless hands? Yeah, me too. What I do is just breathe. Just breathe into my hand, and the humidity from your breath will make your hand tacky enough to grip the card. And I do it exactly like this. Well, I want to try something, but I need a little bit of heat. Bada bing! Problem solved! Troubleshooting number 2. Old deck, bad deck. Perhaps the cards you're using are just too old. They need to be slippery enough to slide past each other, so try using a new deck and see if that helps. Or perhaps you just have a bad quality deck. There are certain type of cards that magicians like to use for their magician-y, slippery properties. And anyway, I'll put a link in the description below for the types of cards that I recommend for card magic. Troubleshooting number 3. Practicing too much. If you've been practicing this move repeatedly, over and over, or obsessive compulsively, like me, you may notice the cards starting to stick together, or sometimes when you pull down, you get multiple cards coming out at the same time, like this. Think about it. Just think. When you perform this in real life, you're only going to do the move once. You won't keep changing the card back and forth like a crazy man. No offense to the crazy men out there. So when practicing, make sure you stop every once in a while and shuffle the cards. Give them a cut. This way you cycle to some new fresh cards on top. This should help you tremendously. Smash like! By the way, if you want to learn how to shuffle cards like I just did, I already made a tutorial for that and the link is right up here. Extra notes! Another thing to keep in mind is you definitely want to avoid changing something like the 4 of clubs into the 4 of spades, because people probably won't even notice that you did anything. Ideally, the cards you use should have some big, obvious visual difference, so it's more shocking when it happens. With the color change, you can perform it as its own effect just to show your friends something cool, or you can do more like what most magicians do, which is they tie it into part of a larger effect. For example, you're trying to find their card, you show it to them and they say, oh, that's not it, and you go, really? And then you make the change happen and you're like, yeah, that's right. And they're like, or another thing you could do is if you take a card and put it on top of the deck, basically execute a color change and it makes it look like you made the card vanish off the top of the deck. As you can see, there are many options. The sky is the limit. Also, don't be discouraged if you don't get it at first. It's going to take a little bit of practice to make it smooth, so I recommend just practice a little bit each day. And it will probably help if you watch this video a second time. You may pick up some additional details you didn't notice the first time. I hope you enjoyed taking this journey with me, learning the Erdnase Color Change. If you're interested in getting more started into card magic, I will leave links for some recommended books. Look inside the description section below to find those. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button. Don't worry, you're not going to break it. Click subscribe to see more content like this, tutorials, deck reviews, magician reactions, street magic. Maybe I'll even sing for you. What song do you want me to sing? Comment below. Anyways guys, it's been real, really real, and I'll see you next time.